Welcome to a very special edition of The Piano Men with Stanley Carr. I am privileged and honored to be joined here tonight by probably one of the most talented and decorated singer-songwriters and keyboard players in Music City. He's written for countless artists throughout his career, such as Garth Brooks, Reba McEntire, Bonnie Raitt, and Vince Gill, and many, many others. It's my honor tonight and privilege to welcome onto the show my good friend, Pete Wasner.
Hey, Stanley. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. I'm glad I found you. It was foggy out there.
Yeah,
I have fog lights now, so I didn't get lost.
Yeah. It's been crazy outside, with the rain, and then it's sunny outside. Let's get to it. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in, I lived in Illinois till I was about 10, and then we moved to Minnesota when I started 5th grade up there, and I went all the way through high school, and I went to the University of Minnesota, and then I escaped from there.
Escaped?
I did. It was too cold.
Yeah.
I went to Boston to a music school, Berkeley, for 1 year, and I missed the snow, and it didn't snow the entire year I lived in Boston. And it was just kind of this, dirty East Coast city. I thought it would have been great to have a couple feet of snow, but they got it later. Mm-hmm. But also it wasn't 30 below. And that was the first time I'd been away from it since I was little, and I was like, wow, this is pretty nice. It's not like 30 below.
It's very cold up there.
Yes.
Very cold.
Yeah, I can't take it anymore. My blood is too thin, or maybe it used to be thick. But and when it's not winter, you're just waiting for winter and complaining about how bad the winter is going to be. But
when you went to Berkeley, obviously it's a music school, but what did you focus on when you went there?
Well, I was a composition and arranging major. I just wanted to learn. I had never even listened to any jazz or anything before I got there. I learned a lot, so I was a composition and arranging. They did ear training and stuff like that, and theory, and I learned a lot. And then I had to kind of forget some of that I'd learned. But it was good for me.
Yeah. Well, tell me about what really got you into music. What made you become interested in being a musician?
Well, I never wanted to be a musician because... my mom taught me how to play piano when I was little, probably when I was 4 or so. Mm-hmm. And I just thought everybody could play. Mm-hmm. My dad played harmonica, my brother plays everything. We have drums and guitars and saxophone, and my sisters. And I just thought everybody could do that, and it turns out everybody couldn't. So I wanted to be a dentist. That's what I was going to be. I was a pre-dentistry major at the University of Minnesota. That lasted about 2 weeks until I realized, what was I thinking? Since I was like in 8th grade, I wanted to be a dentist, and I would have been terrible. Everybody said, you have good manual dexterity. Well, I could print. Kind of pretty well, but it's like you have to be a carpenter to be a dentist. Sure. That's kind of what you're doing. You're building stuff. And, I would have been like the world's worst dentist. Anyway, so I got out of there and went down and wrote a couple songs. I tried to get regular, normal jobs, but there was a recession going on. I couldn't get a job anywhere, like construction or anything, just to pay, between college. And so it turns out music was the only thing I could do. Mm-hmm. I've tried to quit a bunch of times, and it just, something always happens. I'll get a gig. Oh, okay, I guess I won't quit this week.
Hey, being a musician, of course, comes with, having pros and cons of the job. And certainly, once you know in your heart you're passionate about something, you go after it. And who were some of your first early influences as a piano player?
Well, my mom, and we played a lot. And I don't think we even had a record player till we moved to Minnesota. So I just listened to the radio, and I didn't even think about I wasn't even thinking that I wanted to be a piano player or a songwriter because I didn't want to starve, and which I ended up doing. And it wasn't until later. I never even, when I listened to records, you could hardly even hear the piano most of the time, unless it was a jazz record or, the Beatles, of course. You could start to hear it. And Elton John, maybe one of his records is the first one I remember. Oh, wow, the piano really sounds cool. They really turned it up in the mix. That was neat. And then later, Little Feat, Billy Payne, a great piano player, and they had that thing mixed up great. And so now when I make demos out at my studio, I can put the piano up as loud as I want. And it's usually too loud, but that's fun.
Do you have like any early memories of playing music?
Well, yeah, I remember the neighbors always, we probably in 6th or 7th grade, and we had a drum set and stuff, and we'd always rehearse in our house in the summertime, and the neighbor would always call the cops on us and say we were being too loud. I mean, he didn't like music. We couldn't understand why somebody would do that. We were having so much fun, and then, about 8 o'clock, we'd have to stop.
I was watching... reading, today is this Bruce Springsteen's 70th birthday.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And I remember reading stories about how he got really into learning the guitar, and his dad was really hard on him, like, don't go be a musician, don't do this, don't do that, put down the guitar, and he was like, no, just gonna go for it, that kind of thing. And it's hard when you really are passionate about something like being a musician, and there's people that really don't understand what exactly that is or how you go about doing it. Was it hard for you, like expressing that to your parents or to family members?
No, my folks were really cool. They never said you can't do that. They were always real supportive. We had the drums set up in the dining room, and it must have driven my mom crazy because they were so loud. I can't stand to walk in a studio now when the guy's doing the drum sound if I don't have my earplugs in. But no, they were always really supportive. And later, after Berkeley, we came back to our little town, and my brother and I had a band with some of the guys from Boston, and we did this Grateful Dead song called Casey Jones, and it's all about cocaine. And my dad said, I love that song. That was his favorite song, but I don't think he had any idea what it was about.
So did you play with any bands while you were growing up? Any friends that you jammed with? Or?
Oh, yeah, we started playing in bands in about 8th grade. Somebody just pointed at me and go, that guy can sing. I'd never sung before. I started singing, and I played guitar because it was really expensive to buy a portable organ back in the 60s. And one of my other really good friends, Dad was a big turkey farmer, and he used to be able to work for his dad all summer, so he had tons of money. So he went out and bought I think it was a Doric organ and a Baldwin amp. So that song Day Tripper by the Beatles came on the radio once. I had a little $5 Silvertone guitar. And I asked it came on, and my dad was in the kitchen. I said, hey, Dad, if I can play this lick, will you buy me an electric guitar? And he goes, yeah, sure. And I already knew how to play it, of course. So, da 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 da.
Yeah, of course. So you started learning how to write songs. What age did you start learning how to write?
I'm still learning. I wrote my first song with my dad when I was 10. He had these words, and he came home, and he just sat down, and I kind of picked out the chords, and it was really cool.
Did your dad help you at all in the beginning with any training? I know you said your mom taught you how to play.
No, he wasn't. He just kind of sat back and let everybody do their thing.
Yeah.
He would sing with my mom. They had duets they'd sing together, and it was a very musical time growing up.
What brought you to Nashville?
I was living in Los Angeles. I had just quit drinking.
Oh, wow.
And I kind of, every day I was like, oh, wow, I guess I better get a real job. So that's really what I was trying to do. I was looking at the classifieds every day just to see what was available. Then I was going to go to school, and get some kind, I don't know what I was going to do. And Vince Gill, I'd known him out there, and him and Janice had moved here a couple years earlier. And he called me and said the Sweethearts of the Rodeo, Janice and Christine's band, wanted a keyboard player. So I said, well, I guess I won't quit today. I'll go out to Nashville. So that kind of got me out here.
Were you working as a session musician in Los Angeles at the time?
Not much. I was just playing little country gigs every night. I'd play country bars every night.
Nice. Certainly Vince Gill took you under his wing, so to speak, and I know you wrote songs for him. What can you tell me about Vince Gill?
Oh, he's like a big brother to me, even though I'm older than him. Yeah, we wrote a bunch of songs together. It was really fun. I played in his band off and on since I've known him since 1979. So he's one of my best pals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and see if we can take out these aux? Fabulous.
You're too kind.
Thank you. Explain how you wrote that song.
I wrote that with my pal Charles John Cordo. He just wrote all the words, and I sat with it, and played it 10 million times till I was happy with it.
Explain how you come up with a song. Do you start with the music first, the lyrics?
With Charles, I always started with the lyrics because I could just hear the music. His words have real rhythm to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, we would get together and maybe tweak the lyrics out a little bit. I'd say I need a couple more syllables here or here or there, and I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just it was easy to read the lyrics and write the music, and it's different with everybody. Sometimes I'll just write the music and a friend will do the lyrics. Sometimes I'll throw in my 2 cents, on the lyrics too, and it's different with everybody.
Do you feel songwriting can be a challenging process?
Oh yeah, it can be challenging, but it's a good challenge. It's something you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier. I know when I go just to do a session or something, I go, oh wow, you mean you guys have already written a song? That's really cool. We don't have to do that part. Just play it. So I like doing everything. I like just playing on other people's songs in a band or doing a session, and I like writing. But the writing is for me, it's probably the most challenging.
Of course, you've written songs for Vince Gill, and tell me about some of the other people you've worked with.
Hal Ketchum, worked with him, played on all his records. I didn't write them for Vince. Him and I wrote them together.
Right.
We co-wrote them. And,
yeah.
And people are always going, who'd you sell that song to? Well, you don't really sell it to people. You get a song and you pitch it to somebody and hope they'll do it. Like Garth Brooks. I had this song called Wild as the Wind, and I just never thought anybody would ever record it. And Garth just heard me sing it somewhere, and they may have played it for him down at the studio one day or something, and that's how that happened.
How can listeners at home explain how does a song get noticed, like published and recognized by the audience? Or
well, it helps
marketed?
To have a good publisher, which I had. I signed with Alan Reynolds, who was Garth's producer. My first cut ever was by Crystal Gale.
Oh.
Charles and I were working on this song called Just an Old Love, and Crystal was looking for something, so I kind of went, oh, well, she could do this, and I tweaked it a little bit. Took it down there. She heard it. She liked it. She recorded it, and I thought, well, this isn't so hard. It's not always like that. But when I first heard the song, I was kind of mad because I told Alan, well, she's stealing all my licks, and he goes, well, that's the melody, pal. Oh, yeah, that is the melody. So it was hard to get used to. It was weird hearing somebody do your song for the first time.
It can be very, very awkward, to say the least.
Yeah, because you don't even realize what I didn't even realize that was the melody I was singing. I don't know what I was thinking, but I never started out. My goal wasn't to ever be a songwriter. It's just something I kind of fell into.
Yeah. We've certainly known each other for a long, long time. Pete Wasner taught at camp that I went to, and your daughter, Mackenzie, and we'll talk about her a little bit later on, we went to a camp called Kids on Stage, Summer Academy in a town called Leapers Fork, not too far from Franklin. Tell me about how you got involved with Kids on Stage.
Oh, I don't even remember. I think Rick Wheeler and my sister Lori had something to do with it in the early stages. Excuse me, and Aubrey Preston maybe asked me to do it. He was involved back then. It's so long ago, I just kind of ended up there.
We had so many different instructors teaching a wide variety of different topics, subjects, songwriting, art, music,
lighting,
film,
all sorts of stuff.
All sorts of stuff.
It was very cool back then. Yeah.
And I was taking songwriting classes, and you were one of my instructors. Hard to believe, all those years ago. Time just flies by. You had people like Bonnie Bramlett, Mike Joyce, Walter Egan, Gene Cotton, all phenomenal talents, all incredibly gifted artists who are teaching the next generation of songwriters. How did you feel teaching those kids?
You know, my favorite, I think, with age, and Mackenzie was usually in my class, 11 and 12-year-old girls were the greatest. They had so many great ideas. You always had the best ideas, too. You
Thanks.
did. Your ideas were great because they were different than everybody else's. And that's what I liked about them.
Yeah.
But we'd sit around, and I'd kind of write the music for them and get them started, you know. I didn't really know how to teach. I said, well, I can show you what I do. And I kind of could steer everybody. But I loved everything that everybody wrote, you know. I was really proud of all the songs we wrote.
We always put together performances. I want to say it was Saturday was like the big showcase. And we did, I think Mackenzie and I did a song together, and I believe I was in one of your classes the next year before.
Mm-hmm.
Just great memories. I cherish them.
Oh, good, because that's what it's all about. It was really fun.
But they had all kinds of stuff, and a lot of the stuff that you were talking about was certainly getting your music out there and heard. Explain a little bit about the different types of publishing deals and agencies that you have to pitch your songs to, and how to go about doing it, if you can.
Well, the publishing company had a guy called the Song Plugger, and he had to take all the rejection. I tried doing it once or twice, and it was just brutal, you know. I couldn't take it. So Matt Lindsay was our guy, and he was really good, and he'd have to pitch it to the guys that Alan was producing, which were in-house. They were in the studio, you know, or he'd take it around to other people. In fact, he sent this song called So Close, Tony Arata and George Marinelli and I wrote. He sent it to Bonnie Raitt, and George was playing in her band, and he never even pitched any songs to her. So, you know, it's hard to do that when you're working for somebody. You don't want to be a pest, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
of course. So
we kind of came around, did an end run, and Matt pitched it to her, and she almost did another one too on that Souls Alike record. But that was a dream come true. She's my favorite singer of all time, and to have her sing one of our songs was really awesome.
She's got an incredible catalog.
Yeah, she's the greatest.
To Make You Love Me, Let's Give Them Something to Talk About, all these different hit after hit after hit after hit. Any struggles pitching songs to artists you can think of other than...
Well, yeah, if it weren't a struggle, everybody would say yes, you know. But and it's weird because I like everything I've written. You have to like it, you know. And but when somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, I really like that song," then you know you've got something. Because of course I'm gonna like them because we made them up, you know. And if I didn't like them, I wouldn't get them out there. But that's the only reason. I mean, that's the best way of knowing that you have something. When somebody and then when a bunch of people go, if unsolicited, you know, not like, "Do you like this song? Is it good? Is it good?" Of course they're going to tell you it's good, but when you're just unsolicited and you get that kind of feedback, it's really great.
Have you had any experience working with different labels? Record labels.
Just playing on records for them, you know, and doing sessions. And
How does that experience differ from writing?
well, you get hired as just a piano player, or I would, you know, I'll just go in and try to make, you know, you just try to make their song as best you can. It's easier in a way because the song's already written, but it's also harder because their whole career's writing on whether you think of something good to play, you know, or so there's a lot of pressure. Could be a lot of pressure, but it sure was fun. I had a lot of fun with everybody.
In a few phrases or sentences, I'm going to list a few names, songwriters, and if you can tell me a little bit about them and your feelings on working with them or any memories you'd like to share, feel free to do so. We'll start with Vince Gill.
Oh, Vince. Well, you know, we are kind of like brothers, you know. He'll start playing and I'm right there with him, or vice versa. You know, we always seem to be tuned into the same channel a lot. So I just know him so well, you know.
Garth Brooks.
Garth did some really great songs, you know. He's really a swell guy. He's the most. I wish I had manners. I have no manners compared to him. I'm standing at the studio the other night, and it was a while back, and some gal was in there delivering, or she was picking up a box of stuff, you know, and she was going to carry it out to her car. And Garth goes, "Oh, I'll just carry that out for you." I mean, he just does stuff like that all the time. You know, he's just the perfect gentleman. He's a really funny guy. Really smart, really talented. He really changed the music business in Nashville.
Bonnie Raitt.
She's just my favorite singer, you know. Her and Lowell George, and they were from that same Warner Brothers school. I love everything she's ever done. She's a great guitar player, too.
Reba McEntire.
You know, Reba never cut anyone. Oh, she did cut a song of Vincent and I totally forgot about it. She's real down home. In fact, I was sitting in the studio and she was talking about a refrigerator, and she was talking about a Sears Cold Spot refrigerator, which we had growing up. And she said, "My mom and daddy had to stick a silver knife in there to get the thing open." I go, "That's what we did. The knife, you just kept the knife in there, and that's the only way you could open it." So she's a hoot.
Hal Ketchum.
Hal's great. Really a talented guy. Did a couple of my songs. We wrote a bunch of songs together. I miss him. He's hanging out. He's living in Texas, I think, now.
Robin Ford.
Robin is an awesome guitar player, man. I toured with him for about 3 weeks.
Wow.
He is so good. And I was used to playing country gigs and doing maybe one chorus, solo, you know. He's going, "No, do more, man. Do 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll try." I tried doing 4, and by the end of the 4th one, I couldn't play anymore. I played everything I know, and he goes, "No, man, you should play like 9 or 10. Play 9 or 10 choruses." I go, "That's not ever going to happen." He could play 100 choruses, and they would all be awesome. I mean, he is a really gifted guitar player, man. He's 1 day older than me.
Wow. That's pretty neat. So tell me about the different kinds of publishing brands. You've got BMI, you've got ASCAP, CSAC.
Those are performing rights organizations. They get all your money for the airplay and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with BMI. It's it's like money from heaven. Every 3 months, I'm still getting money from Don't Let Our Love Start Slipping Away. And
we got a little bit of time. We got some time left. Why don't we segue? Why don't we hear something of that? We'll play another Vince Gill one. You want to do Don't Let Your Love Slipping Away?
We could try that.
That was just wonderful. Pete Wasner, you're welcome. That was a #1 single, wasn't it?
That was #1 on my birthday, 1992. And here's what growing up Minnesota's like.
Yeah.
I walk into this little place where everybody hangs out in the little town.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, Steve McKay, there's called Tiny Smoke Shop, and it's #1 on my. I just want to, tell everybody, but I can't because I'm from Minnesota.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, Woz, how's it going? Pretty good. He goes, what's new? You go, nothing. Give me a Coke and a hot dog, will you? That was it.
That's great. That's funny. So you've got your daughter now. You brought her into the music business. She's doing phenomenal. I mean, she even got on American Idol several years ago. She's gigging around town. How does that make you feel, seeing what she's doing?
Oh, I'm real proud of her. She's really a great singer. She when we do songs, she'll sing whenever you come around. That's a hard song to sing, and Vince can sing it great, So, but she sings it great. She sings everything really well, and I'm very proud of her.
What advice have you given Mackenzie?
Stay out of the music business. No, stay out of Red China. That's it's hard to give her any advice, because I'm her dad. I'm just your dad,
Mm-hmm.
So I just try to help her sing the best she can sing, and she's going to have to figure the other stuff out for herself, because it's all different now than it was when I was her age. And she's a lot better than I was when I was her age. She's your age, 24.
Mm-hmm.
She sings great. Her songs get better every day. We've written a few really cool little songs together.
Absolutely wonderful. Speaking of that, you were talking about the music industry is different. How do you feel that it's different now compared to when you were first involved with it?
Excuse me. There used to be like a hope, a chance. When I'd write a song, I'd go, wow, so-and-so could do this, or I could hear somebody doing this. And now I don't want to sound bitter, but, I listen to the radio and it's like, I don't hear any of these guys doing this. But I never thought Garth would do Wild as the Wind either, and he did. So it's always a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I just do like I always did, and I just keep writing and try to write good songs. I don't try to go, oh, here's a song I'm going to write for Bonnie Raitt or somebody. It didn't work out that way. You just write the song and be happy with that, because in the end, you have a lot of songs that are just, that's all you got. And if you don't like them, you're not going to be happy. And if you like them, it's good for you.
Do you feel a lot of artists get caught up in feeling like this is something they should get on radio as opposed to doing it just to make them feel good?
I don't know.
It's a tough one. Tough one to really answer.
Yeah, I mean, you want to write something that people like and it's accessible. I'm not trying to write freeform jazz songs
Sure.
and stuff. I can do that too,
Mm-hmm.
but why?
Exactly.
You want somebody to like it. You want people to sing along with it.
Yeah.
I do. And it was nice to make a living doing it for all those years too. So.
What do you think's the biggest challenge today as far as getting your music out there?
Boy, I don't know. It seems like it's easy to get it out there. There's so many platforms now. You can just put it on
Sure.
on the computer, and it's out in the world. I think it's kind of watered everything down. Everybody's got a CD. When my kids were growing up, they thought everybody had a CD, because we'd go down to the Christmas party and Garth would be there and he'd have his CD, or we'd go to Vince's and he'd have his CD, and they just thought everybody had a CD. And now they do. Everybody's got them because they can make it in their bedroom.
Pretty much. Everybody's got their own studio set up with GarageBand or Pro Tools in their home. They're able to strum a guitar and hook up cables to their computer, laptop, and just...
Yeah, so it's good and bad. People are getting their music out there, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's probably an easier route now than it was maybe 10 or 20 years ago.
Sure, you used to have a few $1,000s to get a studio, just to rent the studio.
I mean, you look at somebody like a Justin Bieber, who got discovered from YouTube, and look at him. 5 years later, he's already getting songs. Or even guys like Shawn Mendes or whoever's, made it, from online. the internet to worldwide fame. Pretty much, it's a very different world than it used to be, because there used to be people didn't, when you first heard of an artist, they didn't have internet. You bought vinyls, you bought CDs or cassette tapes, and you just, hey, this
cassettes. Yeah.
Yes, cassettes. I remember, when I was really younger, just having cassette tapes, just listening to cassette tapes, and you'd have to rewind, or the thing would fall out,
Oh yeah. Well, I had when I wrote Mama Knows the Highway, it was on a cassette, right?
Yeah.
So, and they were like $1.20, and if you had to buy a lot, it could add up. So I gave one to Alan Reynolds one day. At the studio, I go, here's a song I wrote. I gave him the cassette. And when I was leaving, I thought to myself, well, there's another $1.20 down the drain. And he's the only one to ever call me back. He called me back like within an hour, And then the next thing, Hal recorded it, and it did well.
Now you got MP3s taking over WAV files. Everybody's got their digital download system of doing things, and it's probably an easier way and a faster way of doing it.
Yeah, you can just send all your songs around on a computer, or people can get on your website and listen to all your songs if they want to do one.
Definitely much, much easier. Is there any like up and coming artists you listen to now? Are there any?
Who I really like is Chris Thiele. I listen to his show on NPR. He gets the best new musicians, and he's a monster. That guy. He knows every song ever written. It sounds like, unless he's a monster mandolin player. He sings great. The band, everybody's great. The show is really, really good.
Certainly has a fan base that has appealed to multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple people. What wisdom would you give to future songwriters or people that want to get into the music business?
If you really like it, you're going to be doing it. You should. If you don't like it, you shouldn't do it. That goes for anything.
Sure.
I mean, there's a joy that comes from it, and there's something you can't really explain. It just kind of comes, and you're grabbing stuff not out of thin air, but where does it all come from? It's kind of cosmic, And that's the big payoff. And then when you can do that and actually make a living, and get a check for doing it, it's still unbelievable that it should be illegal,
It's probably one of the hardest businesses to get into.
Yeah. Everything I've ever done is just kind of happened. I didn't really plan on doing anything. When I first moved to Hollywood, I'd been listening to Little Feat a lot, and I'd just gotten into them. They were my favorite band, and my friend said Lowell George, who was the lead singer and slide guitar player, was starting a band, right? And I thought, that would be so cool to be in his band, because Little Feat was breaking up, and he goes, yeah, man, you'd be great for that band. I'm thinking, yeah, right, because Hollywood was just freaking me out. It was just so bizarre, So not doing this, I didn't do it on purpose, but every day I would sing one of those songs called Dixie Chicken. I just sang it like all day. I mean, the neighbors probably hated me. And one day I walked into the studio. My friend Fred Tackett was there, and he went, hey, Pete, you're a piano player, right? I'm looking for a piano player for this guy, Lowell George, And just like that, I had walked right into the room, and it just happened. I wasn't a networker. I didn't try to get it,
What are the atmospheres like between, you have Nashville, New York, and Los Angeles, the three big music cities in the country? What are the differences between all of them, do you think?
The first night I was in Nashville at the Bluebird, I met more people in the music business, like record company presidents, people higher ups, than I had in the whole 8 years I lived in Los Angeles. Everybody was so available and so open and friendly here. Nashville's the best place that I've been.
certainly is. I saw something said like music said Nashville is like the place to do it for fun or to do it for the passion. LA is to do it just for the commercial work. I don't know if you'd agree. I don't know.
It's just, I know what's best for me, and it doesn't mean it's best for the next guy.
Exactly. Everywhere's kind of got their own feel, so to speak. Their own.
I'm just grateful to be able to make a living playing music and
Absolutely.
not having to work a real job.
We got a little bit of time left. We can throw in a little bit of something. You have anything?
Do another song?
Yeah, we'll do another
I'll play
song.
that Wild as the Wind. That,
Yeah.
Garth and Trisha did it.
Yeah.
Awesome version.
Absolutely fantastic.
Thanks, Stanley.
Thank you. We've got a couple minutes left. This has been an incredible hour of just learning all about the music business, A to Z, with the one and only Pete Wasner.
You should know everything there is to know after listening to this.
Yes.
From me.
What to do and what not to do. But where can people find your music? Do you have a website?
No, I don't. I'm not. I'm a slacker. I do pay for my web name though every month from GoDaddy. So
Okay.
I should really get my website up and running.
Yeah, it's important, especially in today's day and age with social media and the internet. Everybody's got something they want to plug or you share. Certainly, your daughter is doing great things, and she's got music out, and I know she's working on stuff too.
Yeah, she's better at it than me. I am working on I'm going to make a little EP or something.
Yeah.
I just updated my Pro Tools, and I got a new little drum system and stuff.
Yeah, definitely work on that and get us some more hit songs. We'd love to have you come back and play us some more. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get Mackenzie in here someday.
Yeah, let's get the both of you doing some songs.
You hear that, Mackenzie? She
Yeah.
said she was listening.
Yeah. I hope so. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Stanley. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Come back anytime.
You got it.
Well, that is it for the Piano Men for this week. I am Stanley Carr, and you can like us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Piano Men Radio Show.